slide is 3 different scenarios. Each scenario, depending on how much funding I get for lighting, battery powered, solar powered, or electricity could all be used, or each one individually. The second slide shows my animated tumble into the 4-point channel. This would be done with sequence lighting, which would sort of animate the boxes. And let's see, slide number 3. This is just showing the same tumble with the lights all on, which could happen after the sequence finished, or it could be on all the time, depending on what we go with here. The next one is the next slide, slide number 4, is showing boxes that would be lit from the inside that are floating. They would be waterproof, and each one would be anchored to a mooring. The next slide just shows a daylight simulation in which the boxes are not so bold, but the T color will still be apparent, and they will still stand out, although not as dramatic. Slide number 7 is cables and bungee cords configuration. The cables would be attached to piers and railings, and any metal protuberances from buildings would be sufficient. And let's see. The next slide is a detail of the bungee cord connections and the steel cable. And the reason for the bungee cords is so the connection to the plexiglass box is flexible, and when the wind blows, there'll be flexibility. And slide number 9 shows an example of a mooring attached to the floating box, and each box would have its own individual anchor. And the next slide just shows light boxes assembled and lit from inside. And the next slides are just past public art proposals. The first one was this was East Boston Then and Now, and I believe I proposed this in 2002. And like I said, it was a finalist, and the idea behind this was showing the static image, which was a photographic collage out front on plexiglass with scenes of present-day East Boston filmed on video footage, and would be projected through the monitors, and both images, the static images and the moving images, would meld into one art piece. The same idea was used for a South Station proposal, and the only difference being that the static image would be a map, and the video images would be surveillance cameras around South Station, and they would show people waiting for trains and different happenings going on in South Station. The next proposal was for MGH Charles, in which we were told we were winners, and funding got scrubbed when the program got scrubbed in 2005. When the final contract was due, the whole program got scrapped, and still waiting on the funding for that, but I don't think it'll ever happen. And next is some similar work I've done in the past. Actually, this piece I used cables to suspend the walls. And these are TV paintings in which I use plexiglass black and white paintings, and then for the color I use color TVs stacked up behind the paintings, and it shows a lot of movement and lots of interesting different patterns. The next one is a light sculpture that I made for a restaurant in Northampton, and these were based on sailing ship sails, and I also put in lighting that changes color. The next light sculpture was the same thing, only the theme was eggs, and I used ping pong balls and Christmas tree lights, and they change lighting. The light changes every 5 minutes or so. That I supervised. We got commissioned by the Boston Blue Man Group, and I supervised and designed a mural with the Boston Mural Crew, and they're a group of students that get hired by the city every year to cover up graffiti. Golf holes I made for a celebration at Franklin Park. And the last slide is a slide of me with my winning sculpture for the Red Bull Art of the Can 2005. I was the grand prize winner. And so to sum it up, the Make a Point project I am proposing is a modern version of the Boston Tea Party. And I think it is one of the most significant events in the nation's history, if not world history. And any protest usually is compared to the Boston Tea Party, has some kind of correlation with it. And I think it's a very important piece of Boston history. And I think it would be a wonderful sculpture and a great event. Thank you.